and welcome to another Mapipedia tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to download data from Mapipedia into CSV files. This data can consist of all the data for the tags, so things like the IDs and the temperature and the breed and the sex and any other master data that you may have uploaded into Mapipedia. Or it can also be downloaded in another format which actually includes all the detailed GPS movements. So I'll go into those examples now. So start by clicking on this download button, and there's the two sections here. You can either download data for all the tags or for the currently selected tags. Now currently there aren't any selected tags, so that's why this number is 0. And you can either choose to download the master data or the GPS movements. So just to begin with, let's just download all the tags for the master data. So we can see here there's a VID, or the visual ID, the Ceres tag ID, which is also sometimes referred to as the ESN number, the most recent latitude and longitude number, and then these other columns here are just made up data just for the purposes of an example. But here there's a breed column or a sex column. But if you had uploaded other data such as date of birth and you know, any number of columns that you might have wanted to have added in the master data, then these would appear here as well. So this is useful even if you don't have any master data, just to simply get a list of all the IDs that are associated with the tags. And if we look at the number of actual rows in here, there's 505 rows, so there's actually 504 entries. And if we look here, we can see that there are 504 tags in this data. So we've downloaded all the master data for all the tags. Now, if we select, say, 2 tags, and we want to look at the detailed GPS movements, then we can click on here again. And now we've got a number 2 in here, and we can say, let's look at the detailed GPS movements. Now, if we download that and take a look at this, we can see that we've got 2 different tag IDs. So here's one tag ID and here's another tag ID for the ones that we'd selected. And then we have a bunch of columns. So we've got the date and time in UTC or GMT format. We've got the latitude and longitude for each of these snapshots. So this is just made up data. This data is not coming from real tags, but we can see that here they're about 2 hours apart most of the time. And then there's a location accuracy. All these examples are less than or equal to 5 meters, but these numbers can change depending on the real GPS readings. There's a temperature. Again, this is made up data, so it's all in groups of 5. There's an activity reading, which describes how much the actual accelerometer is moving in the tag itself, or is detecting movement in the tag itself. And then there's the columns here that are basically split up from the UTC format. So the year, month, day, hour, minute, and seconds. So if you are analysing this data, you don't need to do that manually. That's already been done for you. There's a duration in seconds between this reading and the previous reading, a distance in meters, an average speed in meters per second, and then a total distance. And this is just the addition of all the distances that have been calculated in this column. Now, the actual time period that this has been downloaded for is about 24 hours. And the reason for that is because when Mapipedia first loads a page, it defaults to loading the last 24 hours worth of data. So if you want to load a period that's different to that, then you can click on this Analytics tab, and let's just say that we want to specify the start date going back to the start of the month. Then we can do that. You can also specify an end date as well. If you don't actually specify the end date, it will just keep getting data up until the most recent data. And then you load the data for this date range. So if you notice here, all this time period here is for the 17th of August, well, the 17th and the 16th. If you load that period going back to the 1st of August, we can now see that this time slider goes all the way back to the 1st of August. And now if we download the detailed GPS movements for a couple of tags, then we'll see that we've got a much larger time period. So again, if we just open this up, we'll see that the first tag finishes there. So now we've got, we're up to row 167, so there's actually 166 data entries. and the dates starting from, because this is in UTC format, it started from the end of July. So you can get data for a much bigger time range if you want to. And downloading data can also be really useful if you just simply want to audit the animals that are in a particular geofence, for example. So if you want to, so in this example, we're looking at the Woodstock geofence. So if we just select all the tags in that geofence, we can see that out of the total number of tags that are available in the entire map, because we have other geofences as well with other tags, there's been 70 selected here. So if you're wanting to know how many animals and which animals are in a particular geofenced area, you can just select these different tag options. So here we can see that there's 434 tags selected in that geofence, and here there's 70. And if you just want to get a list, or so you're effectively auditing all the tags in that area, you can just click on that and download that, and that will give you a list of all the 70 tags that are in there in the same way I showed you before. So before we only had a couple of rows and we only had a couple of tags selected, but now we can see that there's 70 entries in here. Just one thing to be a little bit careful of is there is some error in the GPS readings. So it's possible that animals might be even if an animal is inside a geofenced area, if there's an error of say 5 or 10 meters on that reading, the GPS reading may be just outside the fence. So just be a little bit careful. These numbers might not always be right if there's animals really close to these boundaries. But other than that, that's how you download the data. And if you have any questions, let me know.